Okay, I want to start with a confession, a bit of a, I don't know, vulnerable moment to kick things off.
Oh, go on.
I spent about 45 minutes this morning doom scrolling.
Ah, the national pastime.
Yeah, you know the drill. Just lying in bed, blue light in my eyes, staring at the news feed. And I noticed something about how my brain was working. I was sorting everything instantly.
Sorting how? Like, prioritizing what to read first.
No, not that logical. I mean, moral sorting, binary sorting.
Yes.
I'd see a headline about a politician, and immediately my brain would go, evil. Next headline about some protest. Good. Next story about a policy change. Wrong.
Right?
Victim. Aggressor. It's like I have this filter installed in my frontal lobe that just jams the entire complex, messy reality of the world into two buckets.
The good bucket and the bad bucket.
Exactly. The good bucket and the bad bucket.
That is, well, it's incredibly common. It's actually a survival mechanism. Our brains evolved to do that.
Sort that quickly.
Absolutely. If you didn't sort things quickly into friend or foe, safe or dangerous, you'd be paralyzed. You wouldn't survive the day. It's socially efficient.
It is efficient. It makes me feel safe.
Yeah.
You know, it tells me who to root for in the movie of life. But this is why we're here today. We have a stack of source material that says that filter,
The good versus evil filter.
the one I rely on to make sense of my morning, it's basically a hallucination.
That is a heavy way to open the show. A hallucination.
Well, we aren't doing the light shallow way today. We're doing the deep dive. And the text we are covering, the finite loop, it makes a claim that actually made me put the tablet down and just stare at the wall for a minute.
Okay.
It argues that those moral labels we love, good, evil, saint, sinner, they might be socially useful for keeping us from, kidding each other at dinner parties.
Which is a valid use case, to be fair.
Sure, very valid. But the source argues that if you want to understand the actual mechanics of reality, they are useless. They're noise. They're like trying to describe the engine of a car by saying the engine is angry or happy.
I would absolutely agree with that assessment. The framework we're looking at today proposes a pretty radical shift. It suggests we stop looking at the world through a lens of morality and start looking at it through a lens of physics.
Physics.
Or, maybe more accurately, metaphysics that behaves with the rigor of physics.
So we're trading in our philosophy hats for lab coats. Is that what you're saying?
In a sense, think about it this way. If you drop a rock on your foot, gravity isn't evil.
Right.
It's not punishing you for being clumsy. It's just gravity. It's a mechanic. It's a law.
It just is.
It just is. The source material suggests that what we call evil, and this includes the really dark stuff, the wars, the cruelty, it isn't some dark demon attacking us from the void.
It's not an external force.
No. It is a specific type of structural experience that we, as a collective consciousness, have chosen to explore.
Okay, chosen. See, that's where people are going to bristle. That's where I bristle.
That-
You're telling me that war crimes are a choice we made to explore? That sounds, well, it sounds like victim blaming on a cosmic scale.
I get that reaction. It's the natural human reaction. But we have to be very, very precise here.
Okay, let's be precise.
The source isn't talking about you personally choosing to suffer today. It's not saying, hey, you chose to get a flat tire, so enjoy it.
Right.
It's talking about the architecture of reality itself. It's looking at the total field of what is possible. And the premise is that humanity has spent a long, long time exploring a specific type of mechanics.
Mechanics of separation, mechanics of domination.
That kind of thing. Exactly. And that we are currently in the phase where the bill for that exploration is coming due.
Okay, so mission for today is to look at that bill.
Right.
We aren't here to moralize. We aren't here to scold. We are here to look at the machinery. The source calls these lineages of desire and experiential loops.
And my promise to you and to everyone listening is this. By the end of this hour, you aren't going to look at the news and ask, is this person bad? You're going to look at the news and ask, is this lineage sustainable?
A completely different question.
And the answer, usually, is no. But you'll understand why.
That is a big promise. Let's see if we can get there. Let's start with the metaphysics. We have to. Because to understand the sustainability part, you have to understand the engine.
The operating system.
Right. The source leads with this concept of the total field.
Yes. The total field of consciousness.
Break that down for me, because total is a big word, and field sounds like I need a degree in quantum mechanics to get it.
It's actually simpler than quantum mechanics, but it's much harder to accept emotionally.
Okay.
It means exactly what it implies, total inclusion. If reality is infinite and total, Nothing can be outside of it.
So there's no trash can of the universe where we can just throw the bad stuff.
Exactly. And that's the first hurdle for most people. We like to think that good is what is real and evil is an error.
A mistake.
A glitch in the code. Something that shouldn't be there.
Right, like, God, you missed a spot over there. Or, the devil snuck in the back door.
But the source argues, if something exists, whether it's a mother's love for her child, a beautiful sunset, a deadly virus, or a genocide, it exists within the field.
If it happens, it's part of the system.
If it were truly outside reality, it wouldn't exist. It couldn't happen. The very fact that it happens means it is a potentiality of the system.
This is the pill that's so hard to swallow.
Mm.
Because I want to believe that the bad stuff is foreign, you know. I want to believe it's an invader. But you're saying it's us. Or at least it's part of the fabric of what's possible.
It's part of the potential. But here is the pivot, and this is crucial so we don't sound like nihilists who just shrug at suffering.
Please, yes.
The source makes a massive distinction. Inclusion is not endorsement.
Say that again. That feels really important.
Inclusion is not endorsement. Just because the total field allows a path to exist, just because the physics of the universe allows you to jump off a cliff, doesn't mean that path is sustainable.
Or a good idea.
Or a good idea. It doesn't mean you should take it. It just means the system allows the choice.
Okay, that clicks. Gravity allows me to jump off the roof. It includes the possibility of me splattering on the sidewalk. But gravity isn't suggesting I do it.
Exactly. The result, the splattering, is just the honest conclusion of the action. So consciousness includes every impulse. It contains the potential for everything. But it doesn't judge those impulses. It just processes them.
It lets them play out.
It lets them play out according to the rules of the system.
Okay. So the field holds everything, all the potentials. But I'm not experiencing everything right now. I'm not experiencing being a feudal lord in 13th century Japan. I'm sitting here talking to you. I'm not experiencing the heat death of the universe. So how does the field decide what actually gets played out?
Selection. And the engine of selection, according to this text, is desire.
Now, when I see the word desire, I immediately think of, I don't know, craving a pepperoni pizza.
Sure.
Or wanting a raise. Or maybe something a bit more romantic.
It includes all of that, certainly. But you have to zoom out. In this text, desire is defined as curiosity or orientation.
Curiosity.
It's the impulse that asks the question. And the question is always the same. What is it like to be X?
What is it like to be X? So what is it like to be full? Or what is it like to be wealthy?
Right, but also, what is it like to be a conqueror? Or what is it like to be a healer?
What is it like to hoard gold while others starve?
Yes. Or what is it like to sacrifice myself for a stranger? Think of it like a simulation. You're at the character select screen. Desire is the cursor. It's the impulse that says, I want to run this simulation. It's the start button.
So it's not just I want, it's I want to know.
Yes. It's an exploratory probe. Every desire initiates a trajectory. It acts like a probe sent out into the field to gather data on what that experience is like.
Okay, so I send out the probe. I decide, consciously or unconsciously, I want to know what it's like to dominate someone. I press start. Then what happens?
Then you enter the mechanism that dictates how that probe travels, the mechanism that ensures all data is eventually collected.
The loop.
The loop.
This is the rebrand of karma.
It is. And I think rebrand is fair because karma carries so much baggage. So much.
Oh, tons of baggage.
What do you think of when you hear karma? Be honest.
I think of instant retribution. Or I think of like a cosmic scorecard. You were a bad boy, so you're coming back as a cockroach.
Right.
Or you stole a candy bar, so later today you're going to stub your toe.
Yeah.
It feels vindictive.
Yeah.
Like the universe is a strict schoolmaster with a ruler ready to smack your knuckles.
Exactly. And the source strips all of that away. It explicitly states, karma is not moral judgment, it is experiential closure.
Experiential closure. That sounds like an engineering term, not a spiritual one.
It is engineering. Think of a circuit or a circle. When you initiate an action, let's use that act of domination we mentioned, you want to know what it's like to have total power over someone.
Right.
You are opening a loop. You are experiencing the top half of that dynamic. You are the boot.
Okay, I'm the boot. I'm stomping. I feel powerful. Great. Loop started.
But the phenomenon of domination, the full data set of that experience, involves two parties, doesn't it? The boot and the face.
Right.
If you only experience being the boot, your understanding of the phenomenon is incomplete. It's fragmented. It's unstable data.
Because I don't know the whole story. I only know the winning side of it.
Precisely. So the system, this total field, seeks balance. Not because it's angry with you, not because it wants to teach you a moral lesson,
Yeah.
but because it wants the data to be complete.
It wants to close the file.
It needs the circuit to close. So inevitably, the loop must curve back. To fully know the experience of domination, the consciousness that initiated the act must eventually experience the receiving end.
So if I start a fight, I haven't just punched someone, I've opened a violence loop.
Yes.
And that loop is just hanging open in the universe like an unfinished equation until I experience the other side of that violence.
In essence, yes. The source has this great line. It says, "The system does not respond with condemnation. It responds with completion."
That is elegantly terrifying.
It is. If you explore fragmentation, you eventually experience being fragmented. If you explore care, you eventually inhabit an environment where care returns to you. It's physics. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. But here, the reaction is experiential.
But hold on. Here's where I have to push back. I have to. Because if I look at history, or even just turn on the news, there are a lot of people who initiate some pretty terrible loops.
Of course.
Dictators, corrupt CEOs, people who hurt others on a massive scale. And they seem to die in their sleep in a warm bed in a Swiss chalet. They didn't seem to get the completion. Where is the closure for them?
That is the great deception. That is exactly why we don't believe in the mechanics.
What is?
The delay.
The delay.
In a physical universe, time delays feedback. Scale stretches consequences. It's a huge factor.
Okay, explain.
If you put your hand on a hot stove, the feedback is instant. Burn. Loop closed. You learn.
Right. I don't do that again.
Yeah.
Lesson learned very quickly.
But social and civilizational loops are massive. They are slow. The text makes a really frightening point here. It says an entire civilization can live inside the outward swing of a loop.
The outward swing being the fun part, the party.
The extraction part, the I can do whatever I want and get away with it part.
Yeah.
You can spend 500 years extracting resources, dominating neighbors, building empires on the backs of others.
And feel great about it.
You can feel like a winner. You can feel like you're blessed, like you're God's favorite. You can live 10 generations inside that bubble of winning.
Because the bill hasn't arrived yet. The boomerang is still flying away from you.
Exactly. You are living in the lag time. But the source is adamant. Delay is not exemption. The loop always closes. It might take a lifetime, it might take 10 generations, but the geometry of the field demands that the circle connects.
So that comfortable dictator in the Swiss chalet, he just died mid-loop.
The loop survives the body. That's the metaphysical implication. The consciousness that opened the file has to finish reading it one way or another.
Wow. Okay, so if we pull this down from the clouds for a minute, we have this total field. It includes everything. We have desire acting as the GPS.
Yes.
And we have these loops that demand we experience the consequences of that GPS setting, even if it takes a while.
Correct. That's the setup. That's the engine.
But we aren't floating in a void. We are here on Earth. And the source makes a really big deal about how the rules change when you take this metaphysics and drop it onto a physical planet.
This is the Earth factor. This is where it goes from, abstract philosophy to hardcore survival.
The text creates this vivid contrast between an infinite dream space and Earth reality. I loved this part.
It's a great analogy.
In a dream or a video game, really, if I want a castle, I just click a button. Poof, castle. If I want a giant banquet, poof, banquet. I can eat the banquet, and 5 minutes later I'm hungry again. I just make another one.
Right. In a purely informational domain, like a dream or a simulation, you can explore forever without subtraction. There is no cost.
No consequences.
You can create and destroy without consequence because the resources are effectively infinite. It's just code.
But here, on this planet,
here we are defined by one single, inescapable word: finitude.
And the list the source gives is just. It's like a list of walls we are hitting, one by one. Finite land.
Finite fresh water.
Finite arable soil. Finite fossil energy.
Finite ecological buffering capacity. That's the big one.
What does it mean, buffering capacity?
The planet's ability to absorb our waste, to clean the air, to filter the water. It's the planet's immune system, and it's finite.
And this changes the metaphysics. This is the crucial point, right? In a finite system, every desire creates a subtraction elsewhere.
Yes. It becomes a zero-sum game physically, even if we pretend it isn't psychologically.
Give me a real-world example of that.
Okay. If you desire to consume water from an aquifer faster than the rain recharges it, you aren't just exploring abundance, you are stealing from the future.
You're creating a deficit.
You are taking water from your children or from the ecosystem next door that depends on that water table. In a dream, you can drink the ocean dry and refill it with a thought. On Earth, once the aquifer is collapsed, it's gone for generations.
A closed loop, a physically closed loop.
Physically closed. And this creates a pressure cooker. The source argues that this is why environmental collapse is happening. And again, it reframes it completely away from morality.
Right, because we usually frame climate change as almost religious.
Yeah.
We sinned against nature. We were greedy.
Mother Nature is angry. The planet is fighting back. We personify it.
Which implies personality. It implies Earth is holding a grudge, that it's vengeful.
But the view in this source material is much cooler, much more detached. The source says Earth isn't angry. Earth is a mirror.
A mirror.
It's a feedback mechanism, a perfect one. Think of it as a dialogue. Humanity acts, and Earth responds with the physical consequences of that act.
So we ask a question with our behavior.
Exactly. We ask, what is it like to pump gigatons of carbon into a closed atmosphere?
And Earth doesn't judge us. It doesn't wag its finger and say, you're bad.
No. It just answers. It answers honestly. It says, here is what a Category 5 hurricane feels like. Here's what a historic heat wave feels like. Here's what widespread crop failure looks like.
The source calls this the honest conclusion.
Yes, Earth provides the honest conclusion to our desires. If we desire infinite growth on a finite planet, the honest conclusion is collapse. It's not a punishment, it's just math. It's the mirror reflecting the desire back to the looker.
This reframes competition too, doesn't it? Because we usually think of a dog-eat-dog world as a moral failing.
Completely.
We say, oh, why can't we all just get along? Why are humans so greedy? We pathologize it.
We think of competition as a character flaw. But in this framework, competition is just physics. If you try to jam an infinite desire into a finite box, the only way to do it is to push someone else out of the way.
It's musical chairs. The game itself creates the competition.
Exactly. If there are 10 people and 9 chairs, competition isn't evil. It's an emergent property of the shortage. Competition is the heat generated by the friction of infinite desire scraping against a finite container.
So we aren't evil for competing. We are just mechanically reacting to the scarcity we ourselves created by wanting too much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We built a machine of scarcity, and now we're surprised that we have to fight for the scraps. We created the shortage, and then we blamed human nature for the fighting. It's a classic misdiagnosis.
So we have the setup. We know the rules of the game now. We have the total field, the finitude of Earth, and the mirror of consequence.
Right.
But the source says there are 2 fundamental ways to play this game. 2 lineages. And I want to get into this deeply because this is where I think the listeners can actually start to self-diagnose their own patterns.
Yes. This is the core of the analysis, the distinction between LC and HC.
Lower consciousness and higher consciousness.
Correct.
And before everyone starts sending us emails, we have to do the disclaimer.
Yes, the big flashing lights disclaimer. Please, when we say lower and higher, we are not talking about moral status.
Right. We aren't saying LC people are bad and HC people are good.
We aren't sorting souls into heaven and hell here.
Okay.
These are structural orientations. They're operating systems. You can be a wonderful, kind, charitable person running an LC operating system.
And you could be a grumpy jerk running an HC operating system.
Absolutely. It's about how your consciousness processes reality, not how nice you are at parties.
Okay, so with that disclaimer firmly in place, let's look at the code of the LC system first. The source calls it the lineage of immediacy. How does it run?
The core desire of LC is immediate relief, immediate pleasure, immediate power, immediate certainty.
The now.
All now. The LC system asks one question over and over again. What does this feel like for me right now?
That sounds, well, it sounds like me before I've had my coffee. It sounds like me when I'm stuck in traffic.
It's most of us most of the time. It's the default human setting. It's a very tight circle of concern for me right now.
Okay.
And structurally, the only way to satisfy that constant need for now in a finite world is by doing one thing consistently.
Which is?
Externalizing costs.
Externalizing costs. Okay, that's an economist term. Let's unpack that. Give it to me in plain English.
It means I get the benefit and you pay the price. Or something else pays the price. Or the future pays the price.
Okay, so I want cheap clothes now.
But clothes take labor to make. So for them to be cheap for you, right now, someone else somewhere else has to be underpaid. You externalize the cost of your bargain to the worker in the sweatshop.
I get the $5 t-shirt, they get the poverty.
Right. Or energy. I want cheap energy now to run my air conditioner, so I burn coal. I get the cool air, the atmosphere gets the carbon. I externalize the cost of my comfort to future generations who have to deal with the climate change.
It's kicking the can down the road.
It's kicking the can, or it's throwing the trash over the neighbor's fence. And the source talks about buffers. The LC orientation needs buffers to function.
A buffer is the fence.
Yeah.
The thing that separates my action from the consequence.
A buffer is anything that absorbs the consequences so you don't have to. A landfill is a perfect buffer. It hides your trash so you don't have to live in it.
Right. The magic bin, I throw the bag in, the truck takes it away, and for all intents and purposes, it has ceased to exist in my reality.
Exactly. For you, the loop is closed. I had trash, now I don't. But for the planet, the loop is just starting. A credit card is a buffer.
Oh, that's a painful one. I want the new TV now. I don't have the cash. The credit card absorbs the immediate financial cost.
For a while, a patient spouse who constantly cleans up your emotional messes is a buffer. A strong immune system that handles your bad diet is a buffer. As long as the buffer holds, the LC person feels like a genius.
They feel great. Look at how much stuff I have. Look how easy my life is. I've cracked the code.
They feel successful because the feedback loop is delayed. They are living in that outward swing we talked about. They think they've hacked the system. I can take without giving. I can emit without consequence.
But the loop always closes. The buffer always fails eventually.
Always. Buffers are finite too.
So what happens when the credit card maxes out? When the landfill starts leaking into the water supply? When the spouse finally packs their bags?
The crash. And here is the fascinating psychological insight from the source. When the buffer breaks, when the spouse leaves, when the bank calls, when the flood hits, the LC person doesn't say, "Oh, I see, this is the inevitable consequence of my actions."
No, they say, why is this happening to me?
Exactly. They feel betrayed. They feel like a victim. How could you do this to me?
It's an attack.
Yes, because they lived in the delay for so long, they genuinely disconnected the cause from the effect. They think the bank is attacking them out of the blue. They think the spouse is suddenly being unreasonable. The connection is invisible to them.
That explains so much. It explains why when things go wrong, the first instinct for so many people is just shock and blame. I'm a good person. Why is the bank taking my house? Well, because you haven't paid the mortgage in 2 years, Bob.
Right. But Bob's operating system, his LC card, was designed to ignore the mortgage until the sheriff knocked on the door. That's LC. It's an orientation of blindness to consequence that is maintained by buffers.
So let's flip it. Let's look at the other operating system, HC higher consciousness. The source calls it the lineage of coherence. How is that code different?
The core desire changes completely. It shifts from immediacy to continuity.
Continuity, so lastingness, sustainability.
Yes. The HC question isn't what's in it for me right now. The question is, what does this create over time for me and for the system?
So the timeline expands from seconds to years or even generations.
Drastically. And the circle of concern expands from me to the system. And because of that, the structural mechanism flips. Instead of externalizing cost, HEC internalizes cost.
That sounds unpleasant. It sounds like work.
It is. It's painful in the short term. It means acting as if the loop is already closing. It means asking, if I do this, what comes back? And then dealing with that what comes back before you even act.
So it's processing the waste before it even leaves the factory.
Right. It's paying the real cost of the goods up front. It's having the hard, uncomfortable conversation with your partner now rather than letting the resentment build for 10 years until the whole thing explodes.
It's taking on complexity now to prevent chaos later.
Perfectly put.
But the source is really honest about the downside here. HC looks slower. It looks less successful at first.
It is slower. It's inefficient in the short term. Let's run a simulation. You and I are competitors. We both own a factory. You are LC. You're dumping your toxic waste in the river because it's free.
Quick and easy, my costs are low.
And I'm HC. I'm spending millions on a state-of-the-art filtration system to clean my factory's water before it goes back into the ecosystem. My costs are higher. Your product is cheaper.
I'm going to beat you. In Q1, I win. In Q2, I win.
You might beat me for 10 years. In a culture of move fast and break things, the HC person looks like a loser. They look like a sucker.
People would say, look at that idiot lugging bricks around all day. My straw house went up in an afternoon.
They'd say, why aren't you grabbing as much as you can? Why aren't you maximizing shareholder value? Restraint looks like weakness.
But the river, eventually the consequence of my dumping shows up.
Right. When the river catches fire. When the EPA shows up. with a billion-dollar fine, when the townspeople get sick and file a class action lawsuit, when the ecosystem completely collapses.
When the wolf comes to blow the house down.
The Three Little Pigs analogy is actually perfect here. The straw house is Elsie. Quick, cheap, immediate shelter. You build it in a day and spend the rest of the week playing the fiddle. You feel smart.
And you feel like you outsmarted the system. Look at that idiot over there sweating and lugging bricks.
Yeah. The brick house is HC. Slow, laborious, expensive. You miss out on the fiddle party. But when the loop closes, when the stress test arrives, when the wolf arrives, the HC orientation experiences confirmation. This is what I built for.
And the LC orientation experiences collapse and shock and betrayal.
The wolf is unfair. The system is rigged against straw houses.
So it's not that the brick pig was morally better. He just understood the physics of wolves.
The physics of wolves, I love that, yes. HT is aligned with the physics of reality. LC is aligned with a fantasy that only lasts as long as the buffer holds.
I have to ask this, though, because it's the elephant in the room. We see some very, very smart people who seem to be accelerating the destruction of the world.
Yes.
We see billionaires with genius-level intellects, tech moguls, brilliant financial minds who seem to be running the most extractive, short-sighted LT programs imaginable. So is LC just stupidity? Is it just for people who aren't smart enough to see the wolf coming?
No. And this is a vital point the source makes. It explicitly separates intelligence from integration.
Intelligence versus integration.
Okay. You can be a genius IQ of 180 and be deeply, profoundly LC in your orientation.
How does that even work? If you're that smart, shouldn't you see the consequences?
You use your intelligence to build better buffers, more sophisticated buffers.
Oh.
You use your genius to invent complex financial derivatives that hide the debt for another decade. You use your technological prowess to invent new ways to drill deeper and faster for the last drops of oil. You use your high processing power to accelerate a lineage of extraction and fragmentation.
That is actually more terrifying than if they were just stupid.
Much more. Because a genius LC orientation can do a tremendous amount of damage before the loop closes on them. They can build the straw house so high that when it finally falls, it takes down the whole village with it.
Which brings us to the scale of civilizations. Because it's not just Bob and his credit card. It's not just the genius billionaire. It's us, the whole species. An entire civilization can run an LC operating system.
And that's exactly what the next section of the source material gets into, the civilizational scale. It argues that civilizations aren't driven primarily by morality. They're driven by a desire for a certain type of experience under the constraints of their environment.
And the source has a concept here that really, really unnerved me when I read it. Cruelty as a diagnostic tool.
It's a chilling phrase, but it's very precise. The idea is that how a civilization treats the other, and the other can be animals, ecosystems, conquered peoples, vulnerable minorities. It tells you exactly which lineage it is running.
And the key is that it's not about being mean in the emotional sense. We aren't talking about sadism, about taking pleasure in pain.
No, not at all. In an LC civilization, cruelty is instrumental. It's about efficiency.
Okay, an example. Factory farming.
Perfect example. We don't factory farm chickens because we hate chickens. Most people involved probably never even think about the chickens as beings. We do it because they are units of production.
They're widgets.
They're protein-producing widgets. We need the chicken nugget to be cheap and abundant to satisfy the desire for immediate, easy food. So we turn the living being into a machine. We strip out the complexity, the life part, and just look at the input-output. We turn a soul into a statistic.
And the cruelty isn't the point. It's just a byproduct of the efficiency.
It's a tolerated cost that is externalized onto the chicken. But here is the species karma. This is the loop mechanics at the highest level. If you, as a civilization, validate the logic that living beings can be treated as units, you have just installed that line of code into your collective operating system.
You've opened that loop. You've told the universe this is a valid way to operate.
And the loop must close.
So what's the return on that?
Inevitably, you build a civilization that treats you like a unit.
We build the machine for the chicken, and then we wake up one day to find we're living inside the machine.
Look around. Look at our modern systems. Look at our healthcare system. You're not a person. You're a chart number, a collection of symptoms, a pre-existing condition.
Look at algorithmic management in the workplace. You're not an employee. You're a productivity score, a data point to be optimized. If your score drops, the algorithm flags you for termination.
Your pain, your struggle, your humanity becomes a friction to be managed, not an experience to be honored. The system we built to efficiently process chickens starts to efficiently process us.
That isn't an accident. That's not a bug in the system.
No. It's the feature. It's the mirror. We treated life as data, so now we're being treated as data. We normalize the lack of empathy for the other, and now we have become the other to our own systems. We bureaucratize their screams behind walls, and now our own pain is bureaucratized and ignored by an automated phone menu.
That is the loop closing on a global scale.
It's perfect experiential symmetry. You cannot build a machine of indifference and then be surprised when it is indifferent to you.
Wow, okay. That explains the vibe of this current moment, the feeling of being ground down by impersonal forces. The source calls this the compression phase.
Yes. And this answers the big question we all feel every day. Why does everything feel so crazy right now?
Why is everyone screaming all the time? Why does the world feel like it's shaking itself apart?
The buffers are gone. That's the headline.
All the buffers we talked about.
The buffers are full or they're broken. The planet is full. You can't just move west and find new land anymore. The landfills are overflowing. The atmosphere's capacity to absorb carbon is maxed out.
And the financial buffers are gone. The debt has come due.
The economy is so fragile and interconnected, and the internet acts as a massive accelerator. It connects everything instantly. The time between action and consequence has shrunk to almost zero.
Right. It used to be you could dump toxic waste in a river, and maybe your grandkids would get sick 30 years later.
A huge delay.
Now you dump it, someone films it on their phone, it's on Twitter in 5 minutes, your stock crashes in 10, and the lawsuit is filed by lunchtime.
The feedback loop is compressed. We are feeling the weight of the last 200, maybe 500 years of externalized costs all at once. We are no longer in the outward swing. We are deep in the return phase.
And that feeling, the return phase, that feels like anxiety. It feels like instability. It feels like chaos.
It feels like the world is ending. But the source has a different interpretation. It says, this isn't failure. This is truth. This is the system working perfectly.
It's not breaking. It's just telling us the truth for the first time in a long time.
We are finally seeing the bill. The illusion of the free lunch, the magic of the externalized costs is over. The mirror is showing us exactly what we've done.
Yeah, the reactions to this compression are split perfectly along those LCHC lines we talked about. It's like a great sorting.
It is. Watch the news tonight with this framework in mind. It's uncanny. The LC reaction to this moment is anger. Pure, hot anger.
It's blame.
It's the system failed me. Make it great again. Go back to when it was easy.
Which really means go back to when my buffers were working and I didn't have to feel the consequences of my lifestyle.
Exactly. Where are my buffers? Who stole my buffers? They're refusing to accept the return phase of the loop. They were looking for someone to blame, an immigrant, another political party, anyone, because the act of externalization has stopped working. They want to find a new place to throw the trash, but there is nowhere left to throw it.
Whereas the HC reaction is, it's very different. It's not angry. It's something else.
The HC reaction is confirmation. It's sobriety. This is what we expected. It's not surprise. It's recognition.
Right. The wolf is at the door, just as the physics predicted.
So the response isn't blame. It's adaptation. It's saying, okay, the party is over. The bill is here. How do we pay it and move forward? How do we build the brick house now, even while the wind is howling?
It feels like we are at a massive crossroads. But the source implies we can't actually stop the loop from closing. The momentum is too great.
No. That's the hard truth. You can't vote your way out of physics. You can't deploy a new technology to make a finite planet infinite. You can't monetize your way out of a closed loop. The bill is due. The avalanche has already started.
So let's wrap this up with the outro then. Because if the avalanche is falling, what freedom do we have left? Are we just supposed to sit here and watch the crash?
The source says we have one fundamental freedom left. We don't choose if the loop completes. That's a given. We choose how it completes.
What are the options? How can the loop complete?
Option A is to complete through devastation. This happens if we, as a collective, cling to the LC lineage. We fight for the last scraps of the buffer.
We go to war for the last oil fields. We build higher walls. We double down on blame and denial.
Exactly. That closes the loop, but it closes it through a catastrophic crash. It's an uncontrolled demolition.
It's stopping the car by hitting the wall at full speed.
Precisely. And option B is to complete through insight. Insight means looking at the mess, the whole terrifying mess, and saying, I see why this is happening. We overspent, we extracted, we ignored the mirror, now we have to pay.
It means consciously pivoting to the HC lineage.
It means accepting the constraints. It means grieving the fantasy of infinite growth. It means slamming on the brakes instead of hitting the gas.
Both options stop the car. One just hurts a lot less and maybe leaves you with a car you can repair.
Exactly. The momentum is there. The correction is coming. But the quality of the landing is still up to us.
The source ends with a thought that I think we should leave the listeners with. It completely bypasses all the sorting I was doing this morning. It's not, are you good? It's not, are you evil?
No. The question is much more personal and much more practical. It is, which lineage do you want to finish your story inside?
Because you have to choose one.
You have to.
Yeah.
And whichever one you choose, you will know it fully. The system guarantees it.
If you choose the lineage of domination, you will eventually know what it feels like to be crushed by a dominating system.
And if you choose the lineage of connection and coherence, you will eventually know what it feels like to be held and supported by a coherent system.
That is the mechanism. Desire becomes destiny.
Birth provides the honest conclusion.
Well, that's a lot. My mental sorting hat is definitely broken now. I think it melted.
Good. You don't need it. You need a calculator to calculate the loops.
I think I need a drink and a long walk, but I feel like I understand the why of the chaos a bit better now. It's not random. It's not punishment.
It's just the bill arriving.
It's a map. It doesn't make the territory any easier to walk through, but it helps you stop fighting the terrain and trying to walk up a cliff.
That's the hope.
Thank you for walking us through it. It was clarifying and terrifying.
The truth often is.
And to everyone listening, good luck with your loops. Pay attention to what you're sending out, because it's on its way back. We'll see you in the next deep dive.